All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Kakushigoto, episode 8. The puppers is here.
Yes, we're getting a doggo, and it's gonna be wonderful. Yep. And yeah, Dad-in-law did kind of orchestrate some things here, but
all
you know,
things considered, it's not awful. You know, it's the descendant of the dog that Mom had.
Yeah, there's some parallels being drawn that are really obvious and really laid on thick, not just by the story, but by the father-in-law.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you can draw also some interesting similarities between where Kakashi is at with his daughter.
Sure.
And the inevitability that, based on what we know about the future, there will be a point when he is no longer around.
Right. Because we got even more ominous stuff with that from the teacher in the present day.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Which is...
oh, boy.
Oh, that's a whole thing. But there's
good
news.
It's going to be great.
That she had as well. It's bad news and good news.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Could be, you know, something.
It's going to be fine.
But yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Oh boy.
Yeah, y'all.
Right.
That was a just a shotgun blast to the heart, point blank, just bam,
both barrels. Like this show.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this show, it's so quaint and sort of just like happy-go-lucky, with the occasional bit of like
right,
the feeling stuff that's thrown in there, right?
Yeah.
But it just keeps ramping it up.
Yeah.
And that makes me very worried for what we've got left in the show, because
so this episode had a really cool kind of dual theme kind of aspect to it.
Okay.
You had the idea of anniversaries and treasured moments and things that we should celebrate.
Yeah.
And so we have a dog. So we need to celebrate and commemorate the arrival of this new dog.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Fantastic. New member of the family. We're 3 again.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay. That's its own thing. But then you had this kind of like other angle of this that was really sweet about how, well, you know, first impressions and what we kind of maybe put out there without even really realizing it can define a lot of what goes down in the future.
Yes.
And sometimes that rough draft, that first go at it, is so powerful that you can't ever fully recreate it again.
Yep.
And I loved the way they used that to tie into the idea that
good.
Kakashi thought that everything was perfect.
Yep.
Everything was great the first time.
But life told him no.
Life told him no.
You got to do it different.
Yeah, the publishing company basically slapped and said, "No, there's no way. You have to start over again."
Right.
And he's like, "I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have the ability to do that."
Yep. I don't know if I can surpass it. And this show, the way that it totally just blindsides me over and over again with the sort of like generic silly aspects of like, you know, like comedic focus, where it's like, oh, anniversaries for things, and it's like, okay, that seems pretty, you know, arbitrary and like doesn't necessarily have to have any deeper meaning. It's just, you know, the different characters being silly in their own ways and stuff.
But we should have learned by now.
But we should have learned by now.
Do this.
It always
has some tie-in back.
Yep.
Into what's going on with Hime and him. Yeah.
And the thing is that life is like that, right? You'll have these moments where it could be something that's completely ordinary, doesn't seem to have any crazy meaning, and then all of a sudden something else happens and it just makes you, you know,
emotional context and pain,
right?
And
yeah.
It stirs up all these memories and frustrations and just heartache, and you're a mess on the floor. So I really love how this show takes a simple writing mechanic of basically twos, of taking something in his work life or
bringing it into the home life. Yeah.
And then bringing it all into the home life, and then tying that in a nice little bow together with some comedy and some so emotionally feelsy, just gut punches. But this episode giving us the dog to start things off was a nice bit of levity and sweetness. So I think we were thinking, oh, well, this could be the dog episode. You know?
They have the dog now, and
but it wasn't at all.
Nope.
If anything, the dog was just a way to show that Hime is able to do things by herself more now.
Right.
We saw her going off and get the dog's name registered.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She did that just fine all on her own. Mm-hmm. In fact, she, heard the Gota record.
Yeah.
And heard Gotoroku.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great name.
Perfect.
I had no idea that was his name already. It's just like, that's adorable. That's so cute. But the idea of, oh, she did that all on her own. She responded to a birthday party invitation all on her own.
Yep.
She's growing up. She wants to have her own birthday party now.
Yep.
But it's like, oh my God, this is killer.
So the fact that
get another birthday. Like, that's literally a thing. Like, we might not actually get another birthday with Kakashi there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who knows?
It's definitely possible. And the fact that so when we see the ways that Kakashi sort of inadvertently teaches Hime things, right?
Yeah.
Positive and negative, right?
True.
That's kind of what I feel like is the true parenting experience, because because the kids are watching, right?
They're always watching,
and they learn all sorts of things from you, things that you wouldn't have even ever thought, and sometimes you would hope they wouldn't learn from you.
Yep.
And the fact that Hime, now she might not have necessarily learned this from Kakashi specifically, but Kakashi saying like, oh yeah, you should probably say no, but make sure that it's kind and stuff. He didn't know it was for her birthday. Mm-mm. And so for very different reasons, but she was already going to do that, right? She had already internalized that, you know what? No, we can't surpass the original. We can't surpass the rough draft, right? It would just be a bunch of work for you that I don't want to put that kind of pressure on you and stuff. So that's something I can never really have a birthday party, a proper birthday party.
Like, this is what's killer about it, is that she's not even necessarily saying exactly why she feels this way, because what's inferred in this, a little bit, is that there might have been a point when she did have a birthday party.
Yep, probably.
And it was when her mom was alive.
Uh-huh.
And she noticed that the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that, she didn't have maybe a grand birthday party with a lot of friends. She didn't know why. She just knew the pattern of, maybe I had a birthday party when mom was around.
Yep.
But now we don't really do that anymore. That's okay. Right. I don't need that. I just like having my birthday party with you, Daddy.
Right.
Can I still have that? Can I still have that pattern of consistency, that specific thing?
Yep,
that
exactly.
We've had as
something
our
to depend on, yeah.
Oh.
The fact that we don't actually know when the mother died,
or when Kakashi
will die, that breaks my heart so much, because it, in a lot of ways, it does keep us a little bit in the dark as far as the audience and knowing what
a tension aspect.
The tension and knowing what kind of emotional context we have for these characters, of how far along they are in the healing process.
Yeah.
But there are a few things that you can kind of gather from that, thematically.
And also just specific little hints of plot and stuff like that. Because this show does a really good job of foreshadowing.
Yes.
Really slowly, lots of specific little things.
I wouldn't have expected this show to be as,
intricate.
Yeah. I was gonna say well written, but it's
well thought out.
It's very well thought out, and so it's structured and it's put together in a way that I wouldn't have necessarily expected from what I thought was going to be like a sort of slice of life comedy with a father-daughter dynamic,
a wholesome,
right?
slight, just emotional.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. But it's got layers to it,
layers, man.
And the fact that she's thinking this now, that could mean that this is the first year, the first time she'll have a birthday without mom around, right?
Sure.
And then so she's thinking about all this stuff. Or it could be that, they've had a few birthdays without mom.
I would assume that they've had a few.
That could totally be a thing. But
she's 10.
Yes.
And if she's 10, then I would assume that she would have way more questions about mom if mom died in the last couple of years or so.
Yes, but if she did, and she's 10, and and the mom died when she was 9 or something, or when she was 10, and then now she's turning 11 or something, then that would have a whole other different thing of, is she not asking questions because Kakushi's ignoring it, and how much of the fact that we don't know how long ago it was is because they're not moving on. Time stopped for them, right? They're avoiding the subject, right? Because it's painful and things like there are all these different kind of potential interpretations of it that we get as a result of not having concrete details.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm with you. But just in terms of like not getting into like the specifics of the potentials and stuff like that, the really like powerful thing is just that we're in that tension state, right? Like that, like not which one it is necessarily, but like the idea that we don't know, like just
right. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, I got you. I just wanted to keep the discussion really efficient and stuff like that.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
Basically, when art is something that is made to be interpreted in all sorts of different ways, right? Mm-hmm. And when you don't say that it is a specific thing, then the audience can fill in the blanks in their own minds, and then it still has that limitless potential of not being defined, while at the same time being something that is condensed enough that we can handle it in the story and do things with it with these characters and immediate present day. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Okay, so with the idea of the anniversaries, though, and this being a thing that in the manga sphere, there's a lot more that, people are, finding random excuses to celebrate. Yeah. And it's a magazine. It's not a, it's not a kid's birthday party. It's not something that anyone is, like, crazy, seriously, emotionally attached to in a similar manner. Mm-hmm. But having that be okay. We just find random excuses to do this kind of stuff. Oh, no, we do that every chance we get when we have a daughter, though. Mm-hmm. The idea that it's not even just about her birthday. Nope. It's about getting the dog, for sure.
Yeah, like, just all the different firsts.
All the firsts, all the little things that you have then can be treasured and shared up just, to be recollected and remembered in the future.
Yes.
But just the emotional aspect of having a dad who has to deal with this.
Yep.
And yet we know that all this stuff is leading to the inevitable outcome where, you won't be celebrating this stuff with her. Like the promises that Hime made about her dad doing all this stuff might literally not be founded. Like he might not be around to do that by the time her birthday comes back around again.
Like my one bit of like hope that I'm holding on to is the fact that he made several more boxes, and I'm hoping that he's not competent enough to be able to make those boxes quickly. So it's something that had to be done over like several years, and that means that we still have a fair amount of time, together, because if she loses her last parent when she's 11 or something, that's too cruel.
Well, but there's no way we can know right now as to when that's going to be.
Yep.
And that's terrifying. The first impressions angle, though, did you feel like they were kind of doing that as well with the idea of the cooking teacher?
Oh, I actually got the impression that it was. I mean, sure, that
you had a different first impression,
right? Yeah, I thought it was going to go into the angle of the father-in-law and how the first impressions between the two of them probably weren't good because he's a manga artist, right? And things like that. And then the fact that
okay, I was talking about the cooking class though. Like what were your thoughts on how that was being done with Hime, like reacting to me like, "Oh, you're here."
Oh, with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So of the lady actually being there, first
cooking,
of all, and good on her for helping out. In the
she likes him.
Well, yeah, she likes him, right?
And excuse to be one-on-one in his home.
Yeah.
There's a romantic
and being all like, "Oh, look at me being all domestic." You're doing so good.
Oh, Hime.
Right. Yeah. But that is definitely a thing where it seemed like it was bringing up the idea of the mom that's not here anymore.
Right, and Hime very much shutting down. We saw the way that she was looking at her and had a very Hi.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So what are your first impressions?
So okay, the first impression is that there's the idea that she could potentially be upset if she thinks that this is some kind of a thing where Kakushi is basically, she might think that Kakushi is looking to replace mom, right? But then there's the other thing of just bringing up the idea of mom, and then if I were to get a new mom, I could also lose mom again because I have a very strong negative association. It's happened already, right? So of course she'd be scared of that happening again because it's such a painful, scary thing when it happened. So yeah, and she doesn't bring it up exactly, right? Because mom isn't something I bring up with my dad,
right? Oh, I could not believe how well that scene just hit with no words, really.
Yep. And it wasn't even like brought up to any kind of like climactic bit of conflict of like it being addressed or something. It was just something that's there,
And she noticed, and we noticed. In some ways, I feel like we noticed before even Hime noticed. It was just the idea of, oh, look at them. They're in the, oh no, oh no, oh no. This is going to look very familiar. Crap, no. So that was his own thing. But you said there was something with first impressions with the father-in-law being the thing that he was thinking about based on how his work came across to the father-in-law.
Because what he's worried about is the impressions of his work, of what that would be for Hime, right?
Sure.
And a lot of it is propagated as a result of the father-in-law being all like, oh yeah, like I didn't approve of my daughter marrying you and stuff because you would never approve of your daughter if she wanted to marry a manga artist.
I'm actually curious. Do you think that the reason why he doesn't share this stuff with her primarily is because it's a more personal reason, or it's the societal reason of? Because it's been built up primarily through the show that it feels like it's more of a no. People would treat me way differently in general.
Yeah, I think
you would have to deal with this whole other new world of being the daughter of a manga artist that's actually really successful.
Yes, I think it's a mixture of all of them to an extent, because if you draw ecchi manga or something, you don't want your young
that's
daughter
a whole other thing too. Yeah,
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But we know that was also a point of tension with the father-in-law, and that when the father-in-law brought that kind of stuff up, it really did shake Kakushi, right? Like it threw him into a bit of a downward spiral. So when he mentioned the whole thing of first impressions and stuff, and he had also been like, oh yeah, I'll take the painting back. Right.
So it was something that made you.
It made me think that like he's thinking of the father-in-law and then first impressions, and he specifically mentioned about how first impressions are hard to undo because they take a lot of like work and time to undo them, because that's then what the first impression is.
Right. Yeah.
And he mentioned that like maybe he kind of went societal with it,
Sure.
because of like how busy people are and things like that. But I was wondering if it was something where it's the, maybe I actually could have patched things up with that scumbag, or maybe there would have been some way that things could have gone differently, but because life gets busy and things like that, then that doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden time makes the gap bigger, but he didn't end up going that way with it. But that was my first impression.
Yeah, you know what I just realized? What's the first thing that happened in the episode? The dog getting named. You know what she did? She took the first thing she kind of heard from the person there and locked in the name based on that.
Which is what he did, yeah.
First impression, if you will, of what the dog's name was.
Nice. I like it.
And just decided, okay, that's the dog's name.
Yep.
And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, well, I don't really care, who names him, as long as it's a good name. Yep. And then he thought back to
some calligraphy thing or whatever.
Something specifically like maybe writing names in something. I didn't really know the cultural context.
There's some kind of like sport artistic thing or whatever of taking like the big brush with the ink and like writing something in a very artistic way, and usually it's like some like one character,
Right.
Or like
but that would have been two characters because of he and May.
Right, but the characters in Japanese and connecting into like,
they're not always one syllable.
Right. It's not always one syllable, but they can connect into like one written character.
Right. They combine. Yeah. And then he's like, and then he looks at the baby. Oh, shit.
What?
shit. Wife wasn't there. Oh no. Maybe we do have specific info.
Oh.
And she actually doesn't. She never met her mom.
Oh, God.
Her mom might have died in childbirth.
And that's why they had the whole plan. Well, although we do have the painting of the three of them.
The painting might not be.
That might just be what he planned.
Yeah, exactly. That was the future tentative plan.
Oh, right.
Oh my God.
Shit. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So she has,
yeah.
and that's why she doesn't talk about it and things like that because, and that's how long that means this has been going on for around 10 years.
Well, it's also probably why she doesn't bring it up is that it's this awkward thing of like, no, I just don't have a mom.
Right.
I just don't have one.
And I don't necessarily know why, but
yeah.
Oh
my gosh.
Damn.
And that's the mystery for her is that she eventually probably asks him.
God.
And
I hope she does.
No, I think she will. I really think she will, and that's going to be kind of like a finale thing. That just makes sense.
But could you imagine if Kakushi died without her ever getting to ask him, what was my mom like?
I mean, okay. This is another thing that's maybe good to bring up is that she might have been unwell at the time, so the mom might not have actually been dead at that point. And it's that he was at this thing taking care of the baby, and she wasn't well enough to take care of him, and that's why.
And then he convinced her it was a good idea. He was like, "Hey, Hime, you know."
Yeah, but I think that's why, we know at the very least that she didn't die suddenly because the boxes are not just for the daughter, but they're also for him,
so
which means that she knew that there was going to be a point where he would have to be a single dad.
Yeah, sure.
Without her help.
Oh, God.
And so she gave him stuff specifically for his 30s. Which that is such a cool reveal. That's the thing. That's why I love the idea that for Hime maybe, she doesn't know the details of these kinds of things, but we as the audience get to have this omniscient, detailed perspective with clues that are being left for us.
Yep.
Oh. But anyway, yeah. Wow. This show,
man.
Yeah. But also just the emotional hit of like, oh, Hime's doing the thing about like when she thought that they were poor. Oh, and she's like, oh, I'll, turn off the air conditioning. I'll,
the cleaning lady doesn't have to come by today. Yeah.
And it's so sweet because like it's easy to relate to that because I think many people have had similar experiences like that where you as the kid assume something about the way you do life is hurting your parents in some way.
Sure.
So you try to adjust your life in a way that doesn't really change anything.
No.
But it's more just really sweet and endearing to them because they're like, oh, look at you,
right.
Oh. But yeah, in this case here, it's this is an emotional thing that I share with you especially. Like this is just you and me doing this, but also you haven't maybe done this ever before.
Yeah. This show is starting to go in a very special like category and like little box, in my mind where it's like the
10.
Yeah. Well, right, but also just the
Thank you. Yeah.
This is an actual like attack like emotionally like this whole show I feel like and I didn't expect it to be right like because when you know that's the kind of show you're getting into you can kind of prepare for it right
and we had first episode pretty much told us what kind of show this was
but this show does a really good job of lulling you into that false sense of security
twisting
and then
the knife
and there's multiple knives like
exactly but y'all thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see it there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.